Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Lachtech Musar podcast. We continue with Pele Yoeitz. We are at day 39 of Hachzik. We are on page 93 in the art scroll. So, we've been talking about the inyan of loving one's friend, Ahavas Chinam, Ahavas Reim. That's the parak we're in. And now we are going to explain the proper way to pursue your needs even on the expense of others. That the Gemara Bava Metzia tells us that if you have a lost item, and your father has a lost item, and Rebbe has a lost item, then you have to go after yours first, which signals to us, it tells us that one's own monetary needs have precedence. They come first. We also learned in the Gemara, in Shas, that whoever establishes this way for himself, a person who puts his needs first, in the end will come to endure poverty. And the question is, how do we reconcile the two things? On the one hand, we see from the Gemara that if you have your own avida, even at the expense of your father or your Rebbe's avida, you pursue yours first. Yet at the same time, the Gemara tells us that whoever goes in this way is going to end up having to go through aniyas, through poverty. A person who's always tending to his own needs and wants and putting the needs and wants of others aside, away, the back burner, or even second tier, has thrown off the yoke of tzedakah, of the chesed, of kindness and charity. And in retribution, his end will be that he's forced to rely upon the generosity of others. So rather, on the one hand we see that you should take care of yourself, take care of your own financial needs, and at the same time we're seeing from other Gemaras that a person who acts like this is going to encounter poverty. So the answer is, the proper course is that one must be willing to suffer a small loss in order to save his fellow from a loss, or in order that his fellow will earn a significant profit, or to save his fellow from pain. And if one proceeds with this attitude, Hashem will certainly bestow bracha on him. So what we're coming to say over here is that by caring, you have to care for other people's needs, and by always worrying and even taking a small financial loss for your friend, that's how one can fulfill the Gemara of one who doesn't act like this is going to end up in poverty. Why? Because if you're not willing to take a little bit of a hit, you're not willing to extend yourself for your friend, save him from pain, from loss, financially, then it's going to come, Rahman al-San, to aniyas. But at the same time, a person, of course, should take care of their own needs. So we can reconcile, we can balance both. That yes, take care of yourself, take care of your own needs. But when it comes to your friend, and you're able to save him a loss, you're able to save him from danger financially, if you don't do that, that such a person is going to come to aniyas. The ikar havas reim, hu sheis labish asma beguf chaveroi. And in summary, to conclude everything that we've been saying until now, the essence of love for one's friend is that a person should strive to see himself as if he were that other person. So much that even if a person isn't so worried about his own kavod or his own shame in certain situations, but mikol makom yachshiv k'may she'im hu haya k'may chaverei, al pi midaisav hayroitz shechavdeo v'shal yidabu lo yishum davar ra shal inas dvar v'shal yiga b'chavodai kacha yasahu l'chaverei. A person has to imagine, okay, I might be very worked on and I might be very humble and nothing bothers me, But says the Pele Yoeitz, the ideal, the level over here that we're of Ahavas Reim, is that even if I'm like that, but I should put myself in the shoes of my friend and feel his situation, feel his circumstances, and realize that if he's not in that situation, how much would this pain him? How much would this embarrass him? How much would this be shameful to him? And go into his shoes and see how he going into the Yanim shoes. And that's the optimal level of Ahavas Reim. And Kach Yasu L'Chaveroi Zeh Klal B'Ahavas Reim U'V'Zeh Hashem Oiz Lama Yitein Hashem B'Varach Hasam V'Shalom. This is the general rule for loving one's fellow. And if we follow this, we don't only just think, well, I'm a big tzaddik, I'm very humble, so it wouldn't bother me, so Mistama doesn't bother him. No. Go into his situation. As we know from the parasha of Meister, we know Hashem doesn't just give tzedakah to an ani, the bare minimum. Hashem reckons with what he's used to, what his needs and wants are. If he was a very rich man, and he has a very high type of lifestyle, very expensive, Hashem doesn't say, oh, you've been eating paspa melech teichal the past 20 years, so I'm going to just make sure, I'm going to hook you up with some bread and salt. Hashem says, I know you've been eating meat and chicken and fish and good stuff, and I'm going to take you like that. So the same applies over here when we're trying to work on our Ahavas Reim, that it's not just enough to put ourselves in their shoes of how we would react, how we would feel, but really go deeper, deepest level, and work with that person's midas, that person's situation, those circumstances, how he feels in the situation, and when we act like that, then Hashem Yivarach es Am V'Shalom.